Hey, welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am Pastor Joe Fox. Why is the camera all wonky? There we go. Hey, a couple things, catching up, tell you what's been going on, and show you something cool I got, but I don't know if it's any good, so it's not that video. Number one, if you didn't pay attention to the end of the last video, I'm not doing flashlight videos for a while. I'm getting kind of burnt out on them, and I think you are too. So we're not going to do that. Today, I wanted to talk about this axe. And again, I don't know if it's any good. I'm not recommending it. I'm just sharing my life. If you don't want to hear about my life, check out. I got it from Sportsman's Guide. It says may come disassembled. I think based on how I got mine, they all come disassembled. It said like new. It is new. It's called the Russian Military Axe. Oh, it also comes with, feels like metal. I haven't even opened them yet. Wedges that you put in there. And I got it because a couple reasons. Number one, I figure, the Russians ought to know about axes and chopping wood. It's like the iconic, old Russian guy walking through the forest with his axe, chopping firewood, Siberia, all that stuff, the big forest. And I thought, okay, they ought to know what they're doing with axes, I think. And also, I thought it kind of looks like a Viking axe. Don't you think? I mean, clearly I have a problem with axes, just like flashlights. And look, I got tomahawks too. See those hanging up back there? Yeah. It's just what I do. You gotta have a hobby, right? America. I think this thing cost $18. I mean, come on. Right? Even if it's crap, $18, it'll look cool hanging up when I'm done doing what I'm gonna do to it. But I'll use it and see how it feels. It's really sharp. It comes sharp. Most axes don't. It's a little dull right there. Matter of fact, it feels rounded right there. Let me tell you what I don't like about it. The handle. In one way, there's something I do like about the handle. It feels like a hardwood. I can't make a mark with my fingernail in it, so it's definitely not super soft. Man, you could beat the heck out of somebody with this thing just like it is. But it's rough. These axes here, they all come pretty smooth, right? Well, not that one. They come pretty smooth, but this feels like a 2x4. I mean, the consistency, the smoothness, lack thereof, feels like a 2x4, even rougher right here. And then look at the flat edges on it. Can you see that? It doesn't feel great in your hand. Down here it feels okay. And then, this thing looks like a chair leg. It's a little bit rounded here, but it's super flat here. Maybe there's something I don't know about axes, but let's see, it goes on this way. When this is on here, why do they have this much shoulder? It just seems like, I don't know. And so I'm going to heavily modify this bad boy. I'm going to start out, take the paint off of this, and then probably glue it, because that just looks fake as heck. And then I'm going to get to work on this handle with a rasp and various grades of sandpaper, and when I'm happy with how it feels, I will possibly stain it, because I've stained some other handles. I kind of like dark handles, and I'll definitely put boiled linseed oil. Several treatments, which we're going to have to do inside because it's getting too cold outside for it to set up. That ought to make Sister Kate happy. I'll be modifying this down here. But come on, for what? Whatever it costs me. I think $18 or something like that. It ought to be cool. If nothing else, it'll look good hanging on the wall when I'm done. So that's that. Axes. I'm kind of excited about it. I know, I live a simple life. On Patreon, I know some of y'all got irritated. I did talk about Virginia a little bit. I said what was going on. We've been discussing it on Patreon, talking about things I think people need to be careful of, what's going on, things to keep an eye out for, that kind of thing. Did a walk and talk the other day where I talked about the importance of physical fitness and patrolling and using dogs for security and stuff like that. I was wearing this bag right here. I know some of you guys like gear, so, you know, I show you gear. I was wearing this bag right here, which I actually designed. I've talked about it before, so again, this is not that video, but it's made by Sojourn Gear. SojournGear.com. It's called the Minuteman Bag. And what I designed it to do, I'm going to tell you why I'm telling you about it now. What I designed it to do was hold 3 magazines. Right now there's only 2 in it. An Nalgene water bottle, there's a separate pocket for that. And then there's room for a first aid kit, and we made it specifically for what's called the Bear IFAC. And that's all it is. It's just a simple thing that you can grab and go, and it has, you know, the mandatory PALS webbing. I put this here for one of my tomahawks as an homage to the revolting man who's big into the militia and talks about how you need a tomahawk. And so I actually put this here, and then one of my hawks was hanging on it, but I don't really carry it that way. But anyway, I just was showing the gear I was carrying while I was walking around the property, like, you know, EDC gear, that kind of thing. Except this is like everyday patrolling gear. And Cody, who is a friend of mine, said, "Man, did you do a video on my bag?" I'm like, "Well, not really. I mean, I kind of, you know, I'm like, here's my rifle, here's what it consists of, here's what it looks like, here's the gewgaws on it, book. Here's my rucksack, here's what it looks like, book. Here's my Minuteman bag, here's what it looks like." I said I didn't really do anything. He's like, "Dude, I got like 8 orders." I'm like, "Okay." And now he's making it in, I guess he makes it in all different colors. I don't know. But his latest one is in multicam. And we were doing group training, talked about the training event on Patreon. And he said, "Hey, can you model this bag?" So I told my wife, "I'm now a male model, baby. That's right." So he took some pictures for his Twitter or some kind of social media account. You know, I'm not up on these things. But we talked about group training on Patreon, and I am trying to encourage you to come to Patreon. I really am, and I'll tell you why. YouTube just ticked me off a couple years ago, and I've just decided I'm not giving them, not you, YouTube, the benefit of, you know, what I have to offer. And so we moved it to Patreon. It costs you 3 cents a day. Give me a break. You could find that just looking down at your feet when you walk every day. It's not that much. It's the principle, though. And it also keeps the riffraff out. Read the comments down below, my comments on YouTube. Just look at the knuckleheads on YouTube. And those are the ones that I let remain. I block a lot of them. You don't get that over there. It's adults. So, but we've been talking about that kind of thing. Also talking a lot recently about Team MAG. We call them crews, formation, leadership, training. I did one here, I think. A Patreon video that I put here, I'm pretty sure I did on what happens when the team breaks up. Did I talk about that one here? I can't remember. Sometimes I put videos from Patreon here just to keep you guys amused. And hopes to encourage you to come over to Patreon. It costs a whole $1 a month. A homeless person could come up with $1 a month. I don't feel bad about that at all. But anyway, I'll put a link down below to Patreon. And I guess the takeaway from this video is just, so far I'm kind of liking this thing. I hate the handle, but like I said, I'll be working on it. And I do videos like that on Patreon too. When I get it all done, I'll be showing the picture and talking about it there on how I modified it. Did I talk? This is like take 3. Did I talk about this one? I got this one, I think, on Sportsman's Guide also. And it looked a lot different, and I modified it fairly heavily. And the Revolting Man, again, second time I'm mentioning him. I think this one's made in Sweden. Somebody out there definitely knows. But again, I figured, hey, they ought to know what they're doing, and I sharpened it up, and it works really good. But anyway, I went to his house, the Revolting Man, and he had this axe, unmodified, hanging on his wall. And I said, hey, I have that axe. I'm in the process of modifying it. It was a while ago. And I told him what I paid for it. Again, I don't remember, but I bet you it was around $20 or less. And he's like, oh man, I paid a lot more at like a gun show or something. Yeah, you know, caveat emptor. So that's what I've been up to. I'm loving the weather. It's cool. There's no chicks or tiggers. There's no ticks or chiggers out there. And so we're doing a lot of woods walking. I hope you are too. Get out there and enjoy what's going on. Don't just focus on stuff. All right. I'll see you out there.